I love seasonal risottos. You know what I'm talking about? Well, it's summer, and we want the height of summer, which is corn, included in our risotto. Now, that's actually harder than it seems because corn has really delicate flavor compounds. So we're going to do a few things to pack as much corn flavor into our risotto as I possibly can. First up, I got some shucking to do. Now, the first thing I want to do is remove the corn kernels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife, and instead of standing it up, which you can do, you can actually do it this way, but sometimes the corn kernels will just go flying around the kitchen. I'm going to cut this while it's on its side. I've created now a flat surface, so it's a little bit, I think, safer. Now, I only need 4 cups in total, so depending on the size of the ears of corn, you may only need 4, but you may need up to 6. What's most important is the 4 cups of kernels. All right, that looks great, 4 cups. I'm going to put this aside and come back to these cobs here. Now, there's a lot of flavor inside of these corn cobs. I'm going to use a butter knife, just stand this up straight and start to run it down all the sides here and try to scrape up as much of that pulp as I possibly can. So just getting the kernels off and extracting this corn juice, or corn milk really, is going to give us a lot of flavor. Now I want to puree this mixture even more. So I'm going to add it to my blender here. And I want to add 3 cups of corn kernels. Now I have 4 in here, so I'm going to get a nice big cup here, set that aside, and the remaining 3 cups can go right in. I'm going to blend this on low just for about 30 seconds so that mixture can start to come together. So you can see it's a really thick puree. And this time I'm going to puree this on high, but as I do so, I'm going to add a half a cup of hot water. Once it starts running though, after I've added the water, I'm going to let it go for 3 minutes until it's completely pureed. It's 3 minutes. We have a really nice puree here. So I do want to strain this to get out any of the pulp that's in there as well as any silk so we can extract all of that beautiful corn liquid. What I'm looking for is 2 cups, and I'll discard the solids. It's time for risotto, and I've already gotten started. I have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I'm melting it over medium heat. Now I'm going to add a finely chopped shallot and 1 minced garlic clove. 2 teaspoons of table salt, and about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. All right, let me give this a little bit of a stir, and I just want the shallots to soften just a little bit. That won't take a lot of time, probably just about a minute. So in the meantime, I'm going to measure some rice, and I am using the standard. This is arborio rice. It really is made for risotto. It takes a while for the grains to fully absorb, so they're not going to be all blown out and soggy by the time your risotto is finished. And I need a cup and a half. The shallots look nicely softened. Add that cup, and I need to measure another half cup. And I also want to add a little bit of herbal flavor. So I'm going to choose a few sprigs of thyme. So I'm coating the rice with the butter. We're going to cook this until the rice kernels start to look a little translucent around the edges. And that's going to take about 3 minutes. All right, it just took a few minutes, and the rice is just starting to get a little translucent around the edges. So now we're going to add our liquid. And I'm not using chicken broth that we would usually use for many risottos. We're using water because we want that corn flavor to really shine. So I've got some hot water that's going to help the process along here. And I'm going to measure 4.5 cups of hot water. I'm going to add this right in here. There we go. Give it a quick stir. I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to turn the heat down to medium-low. Now, this was a lot of liquid to add all at once to our risotto, but we do this with most of our risottos, and it mimics that traditional method where you add a little bit of liquid at a time and you have to stir it constantly. It's that motion that releases the starch. By adding all of that liquid, putting a lid on the pot and letting it simmer right under the lid, those grains of rice are going to hit each other and kind of mimic that same stirring. So I'm only going to have to go in there and stir it maybe twice. And I'm going to let this cook for about 16, 19 minutes until the grains of rice are nice and al dente. So the risotto is almost done cooking. Now I've been grating a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano because we're going to add that a little later on. And I need a half a cup, that's about an ounce. All right, so now let's take a peek inside of the pot. Oh yeah, you can see that the rice has really started to absorb that liquid. It's looking good. I do want to check the consistency though. At this point, the rice should be al dente, means to the tooth, so it should be toothsome. Okay, that's great. So we can go ahead and add our corn liquid. Just going to pour this in there. And this is key, adding this near the end of cooking. This is what's going to retain that corn freshness and all that good flavor. At this point, I want to continue cooking this, and now I am going to stir this and start to release more of that starch from the rice. I'm going to continue to stir this for another 3 minutes. This is looking pretty good at this point. So it's safe to add those corn kernels. Now this is that remaining 1 cup of corn kernels that I cut earlier. And now I'm going to also add that half a cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm going to give that a good stir here. Now I'm turning the heat off. I don't want this to continue to thicken too much, but I'm going to put a lid on it and allow those corn kernels just to soften a little bit. That's going to take about 5 minutes. It's been nearly 5 minutes. The risotto has been sitting. I have a few last-minute additions. First up, some chopped chives. Now I need about 2 tablespoons of chopped chives. So it's just really finely chopped. I might chop a little extra just to add to my bowl at the end. That looks like 2 tablespoons. And a little bit of lemon juice. And that's really to wake up the risotto, add a little punch of acidity, it just brightens it. So I'll just squeeze a little bit in there. I just need a half a teaspoon. Finally, a little bit of creme fraiche. Now you can make your own at home, or nowadays you can find it at more and more supermarkets. It's got a really light, tangy flavor. It's not quite as tangy as sour cream. It's definitely worth seeking out, but if you can't find it, we've got a great homemade recipe on our website. That's what this is, so go check it out. I need a half a cup of this. All right, let's take a look at our risotto here. It smells divine. Oh, and it's just starting to really thicken up a little bit. Now I'm going to go fishing in there for some of those thyme sprigs. Wish me luck. Huzzah, success. Now I'm going to add in the chives, a little bit of lemon juice, that half a teaspoon, and of course the creme fraiche. Look at that. Oh. Now at this point, you want to check the consistency. I find too often risottos are over thickened. You really don't want a porridge on your plate. Risotto, according to the Italians, it should be cooked all'onda, and that means to the wave or like a wave. So it should just ripple a little bit. So you can add a bit more hot water, up to about a half a cup. I'm just going to put a little splash in there. And it definitely continues to set up as you stir it. And that is it. We are done cooking. It's eating time. All right. Doesn't that look amazing? The texture is unbeatable. I am going to just sprinkle it with a little bit more chive, though. That's just a preference of mine. All right. It is by far the silkiest textured risotto I've ever had in my entire life. Super corny in a good way, creamy and just lightly sweet. That's a big bowl of heaven right there. So if you want to make this beautiful corn risotto at home, just remember these keys. Use both the corn kernels and the pulp, add the corn liquid near the end of cooking, and stir in creme fraiche for a little brightness. So from America's Test Kitchen at home, summer sweet and silky corn risotto.
Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.